Okay? And we're going to start at verse 1. And it read, And as Hamashiach passed by, he saw a man was blind from his birth. And his disciples asked him, saying, Master, who did sin, this man or his parents, that he was born blind? Verse 3. Hamashiach answered, Neither have this man sinned, nor his parents, but that the works of the Most High Power should be made manifest in him. Okay, so right there, that explains reincarnation. Okay, because if you sinned in your past life, the Most High is going to judge you according to your past life and bring it to your present life, right? But the man was made blind not because he sinned in his past life. It's because the Most High wanted to make an example with Hamashiach to prove that he was the true son of the Most High by proving the works of the Most High. Okay? Verse 4. I must work the works of him that sent me. Him that sent me. Him that sent me. Not her. Okay? Like all of these infidels love to believe. They love to believe that the Most High is a she. Alright? While it is day. The night cometh when no man can work. Alright? Meaning, which is symbolic and metaphorical for its light. While the light is in the world. Okay? It's a time to repent and come back to the Most High, because he haven't sent Hamashiach back yet. Alright? So this is why Hamashiach said, while it is day, because we have a chance to repent and come back to the Most High. When it's dark, the Most High, he done took away his grace, and now he's sending judgment. Okay? Verse 5. As long as I am in the world, I am the light of the world, meaning the one who used to search. Okay? Let's jump down to verse 31. Alright? And you can pretty much read the story all the way from 5 to 30 on your own time, right? Verse 31. Now we know that the Most High, what, heareth not sinners. Okay, so that's the reason why the Most High haven't heard Balaam, because he was sinning. He was coveting, and he had hatred in his heart for his own brethren. Okay, until he repented, right? But if any man be a worshiper of the Most High Power and doeth his will, okay, his will, not her will, all right, him he heareth. Verse 32. Since the world began, was it not heard that any man opened the eyes of one that was born blind? Verse 33. If this man were not of the Most High Power, he could do nothing. All right. Verse 34. They answered and said unto him, Thou wast altogether born in sins, and dost thou teach us? All right. Now keep this verse in mind. Verse 34, right? And they answered him, who's the they? That's the Pharisees, right? Thou was altogether born in sins, all right? And thou teachest us, and they cast him out, okay? Remember that, verse 35. And Hamashiach heard that they had cast him out, and when he had found him, he said unto him, Dost thou believe on the Son of the Most High Power? Verse 36. He answered and said, Who is he, Lord? Okay, my ruler, Wamalak, that I might believe on him. Verse 37. And Hamashiach said unto him, Thou hast both seen him, and it is he that talketh with thee. Verse 38. And he said, Wamalak, I believe, and he worshipped him. Verse 39. And Hamashiach said, For judgment I am come into this world, that they which see not might see, and that they which might see be made blind. Okay, so that's talking about the hopeful 1/3 elect. Okay, which is the 144,000 that don't know that they're the children of Israel. Okay, they've been deceived into believing that they're just Canaanites, right? Cursed Canaanites, right? And this is what we're being taught today. But if you understand scripture, you would understand also that the Canaanites aren't black people. You know, that was a doctrine that was taught by the morons, which is the Mormons, and the so-called unholy Quran, okay, which is the Muslims. All right, so if you understood that, then you would understand this, right? Salakia. Yeah, no sides coming on down now with this wind and rain. I'm gonna have to roll this one up a little bit. Y'all could probably hear the rain. All right, so in continuation, 38, and he said, "Well, Malak, I believe," and he worshipped him. Verse 39, and Hamashiach said, "For judgment I am coming to this world, that they which see might not see, and that they which see might be made blind." Verse 40. And some of the Pharisees which were with him heard these words, and said unto him, "Are we blind also?" Verse 41. Hamashiach said unto them, "If ye were blind, ye should have no sin." Okay, so Hamashiach is saying, if you were blind, you know, you would have what's called presumptuous sins, Salakia, right? So that's what you call sin and ignorance. So being that you know that you're sinning because you know the law, you're a Pharisee, you're supposed to be an expert of the law, all right? Being that you know of the law, then you're sinning because you know better. Just as Paul states, it says it's better for you to have not known the law and sin, rather for you to know the law and still sin. All right, so this is what Hamashiach is saying to him in verse 41 again. Hamashiach said unto them, "If ye were blind, ye should have no sin. But now ye say, we see, therefore your sin remaineth." Okay, because you said you see and understand the Most High's law, statute, and commandments, but you're still living in willful sin. So your sin remaineth, right? All right, so I wanted to point that out to you there. Now, once again, let's go to the complete Jewish Bible. And we're going to remain in the book of John, chapter 9, right? So this is going to let you know what the Pharisees said to the so-called blind, right? And we're going to start at verse 1. And it read, and Yeshua, which personally I believe Yeshua is Joshua, okay, in modern day Hebrew, Latin Hebrew, all right? So that's not the true name of the Hamashiach, right? Passed along, he said, a blind man from birth. All right, so he saw the blind man from birth. And his Talmudim asked him, Rabbi, who sinned? Okay, so that's talking about the disciples, right? The Talmudim, right? But that's talking about the Talmud, all right? We don't follow the Talmud, all right? But I'm just reading this version of it to give you the understanding of what was called the blind man, right? Rabbi, who sinned, this man or his parents, to cause him to be born blind? Hamashiach answered, his blindness is due neither to his sin nor to that of his parents. It happened so that the Most High power might be seen at work in him. All right, so It's like I said, it was all for the proof of the Most High work in Hamashiach, right? As long as it is day, we must keep doing the work of the one who sent me. The night is coming when no man can work. While I am in the world, I am the light of the world. Okay, so let's jump down to verse 31, as we did in the KJV, right? And it's right here, as you can see, verse 31, right? And it read, we know that the Most High Power doesn't listen to sinners. Okay, so right here, this is another reiteration, which is straight cut and dry, that the Most High ain't hearing you if you're in sin. What is sin? The transgression of the Most High's laws, statutes, and commandments. All right, so if you're living in sin, the Most High don't hear you, man. Okay, if you're breaking the Sabbath, the Most High don't hear you. All right, if you're doing all of these things that the Most High disapprove of, He don't hear you. So it really doesn't matter if you know the true name. It doesn't matter if you're a so-called Israelite, in which, most of our people are, if they're born of the seed lineage of Israel. No matter who they are, they could be family, friends, whatever. If you're going to church every Sunday, if you claim to be a good person, right? If you profess to be a person who give to charity all the time, right? It doesn't matter if you're doing all of those things. If you're in sin, the Most High doesn't hear you, man. Okay, just like I said, sin is the transgression of the Most High's law. So it don't matter how nice of a person you are. It don't matter how many times you smile, how many times you wave and say hi to people, right? If you're breaking the Sabbath, the Most High don't hear you. If you're eating defiled foods, right, which is shellfish, swine, duck, okay, snails, clams, mussels, okay. Now you can add salmon to that list because it's mixed and mingled in the genetics with unclean fish. Okay, if you're eating defiled things, the Most High ain't hearing you. If you're celebrating the wicked pagan customs of this world and not living holy, the Most High is not hearing you, man. Right? Your prayers is in vain to the Most High. All right, what else? If you're coveting, you're putting the bag before the Most High. He ain't hearing you. If you have hatred in your heart, which is your mind, towards your own fellow brethren and sister, the Most High ain't hearing you, man. Okay? If you're an idolater, worshiping other gods, right? You're calling on Krishna, Shiva, Madhava, Isis, Horus, Osiris, Nimrod, Iramis. You're calling on, what's the name? The Hindu goddess. I think I already said that, right? Krishna. You're calling on all of these false gods, man. You're calling on Odin. Okay? You're calling on, what's that god that they call the Statue of Liberty, right? I forget her name, right? But you're calling on all of these other false gods, man, right? The Most High ain't hearing you. If you're doing projectory, okay, if you're worshiping your ancestors, okay, you're calling on your ancestors for guidance, for salvation. The Most High ain't hearing you, man. All right, if you believing in self, right, you think yourself is God, the Most High ain't hearing you, man. Right? If you're dealing with the 48 laws of Ma'at, the Most High ain't hearing you, man. Right? If you're in Islam, if you're in Roman Catholicism, the Most High ain't hearing you, man. He's not hearing sinners. Why? Because you're breaking the first commandment, man. The Most High said, thou shalt not have no lowercase gods before me, man. All right? So the Most High don't hear you, man. If you're professing to be a so-called Jehovah's Witness, right, a Pentecostal, a Baptist, okay, a Mormon, a Lutheran, a Seventh-day Adventist, the Most High ain't hearing you, man. All right, the Most High don't hear sinners. Let's read that again. Verse 31. We know that the Most High doesn't listen to sinners, but if anyone fears the Most High power and does his will, okay, The Most High does listen to him. Okay, so the Most High is listening to us, man. No matter what. As long as we doing the law, statutes, commandments of the Most High is listening to us, man. Okay? In all history, no one has ever heard of someone opening the eyes of a man born blind. Verse 33. If this man were not from the Most High power, he couldn't do a thing. Verse 34. Why? You what? Mamzer. Okay, that's what's written in the complete Jewish Bible. Okay. So, when you read the KJV, it's letting you know that the man was born in sins. Okay? So for all of the so-called brethren who love to say, oh, if you're an Israelite man, right? If you're an Israelite man and you chose a woman from a different nation, you chose an Edomite, you chose a white Canaanite, you chose an Ishmaelite, you chose an Elamite, which is an Eastern Indian, you chose an Ammonite, which is a Japanese woman, right? But you want to say, oh, well, if you're an Israelite man and you have a offspring by this woman, you're not in sin because that offspring is still an Israelite. They still have a chance of making the kingdom. Well, I just brought out to you in the book of Deuteronomy, the 23rd chapter, that your Mamzer kid is not making it into the kingdom until the 3rd and 4th generation. And also right here in the book of John chapter 9 in the complete Jewish Bible, it's letting you know that the blind guy who they was referring to is born in sins. Okay, he's a Mamzer. All right, so when you go to the KJV in the book of John chapter 9, right, it's letting you know that the so-called blind man was born in sins. But when you go to the complete Jewish Bible, which is in the same chapter of John chapter 9, it lets you know that the man that was born in sins, okay, the man that was born in sins was a Mamzer, okay, an Israelite dad, a heathen mother, okay. So you're in sin if you're dating another woman from another nation and then you have children by them, okay? Just because you're an Israelite man doesn't mean that your child is going to make it into the kingdom, all right? You're in sin, all right? And then also what it says in the book of John chapter 9, the Most High doesn't hear you if you're in sin, okay? So if you're residing with a woman of another nation that's not of the nation of Israel, you're in sin. The Most High don't hear you, all right? He don't hear you, man. Okay, that's go for all of you Israelites that's out here dating women from the other nation, man. The Most High don't hear you, man. Your prayers is in vain to the Most High. All right? So you got to repent of that, man. If you have a woman of another nation, you got to repent. You got to get you an Israelite woman, man. Right? But you want to come and try to lecture us and talking about, oh, if we're Israel, it doesn't matter who we date. It doesn't matter who we date. That child is still going to make it into the kingdom. Okay, well, read the book of Deuteronomy, the 23rd chapter, and read the book of John, chapter 9, in the complete Jewish Bible. And let me know if the Most High hears you. Let me know if your child is going to make it into the kingdom on the first generation. Just as Cameron said back in the days, let me know. Let me know. All right? Verse 34 again. You, Mamzer, they retorted, are you lecturing us? And they threw him out. Verse 35. Hamashiach heard that they thrown the man out. He found him and said, do you trust in the Son of the Most High? Or the Son of Man, Salakia, right? This is what Hamashiach referred to himself as. Okay. For to himself as the Son of Man. Okay. What's the Son of Man? That's the seed of man. All right. Sir, he answered, tell me who he is so I can trust in him. Hamashiach said unto him, you have seen him. In fact, he's the one speaking with you now. Verse 38. Wamalak, I trust, he said, and he kneeled down in front of him. Hamashiach said, it is to judge that I came into this world, so that those who do not see might see, and those who do see might become blind. Some of the disciples nearby heard this and said unto him, Salakia, not the disciples, the Pharisees, right? So we're blind too, are we? Hamashiach answered them, if you were blind, you would not be guilty of sin. But since you still say, we see, your guilt remains. Okay? So right there, you know, Hamashiach is letting you know that, hey, you know, if you believe, although you're still a Mamzer, but do you believe in the Son of Man? Okay, which is ultimately referring to the son of Joseph. All right, Mary's husband. All right. So after he said that, you know, the Mamzer, which was the blind man, he said, Lord, I trust. And then he said, and he kneeled down in front of him, which is kneeling down in front of Hamashiach, right? And then Hamashiach said, it is to judge that I came into this world, so that those who do not see might see, and those who do see might become blind. Okay? So Hamashiach, even though the Mamzer kneeled down in front of him, the Mashiach, he didn't say, okay, well, if you believe in the Son of Man, you have a chance in making it into heaven. He didn't say that. Okay, he just gave the blind man, which was the Mamzer, an explanation of the job which he came into the world to do. All right, so he didn't grant that Mamzer a chance in heaven. Why? Because Hamashiach know the law. Mamzers cannot make it into the kingdom of heaven, not into the third and fourth generation, by remarrying Israelites. All right. And just to nail that one home, okay. Just to nail that one home, we're going to go to the book of Exodus. All right. Chapter 1. All right. So here we are in the book of Exodus, chapter 1, and we're going to go down to verse 15. And it read, and the king of Egypt spake to the Hebrew midwives, of which the name of the one was Shiphrah, and the name of the other Purah. All right, so right here, this also letting you know, right? Shalakia. This is also letting you know that the people, okay, of so-called Egypt, right, they're not Edomites, right? There's a doctrine that's circulating around Israel that the Egyptians are Edomites, right? But the Egyptians weren't born white. Okay. Now this is for all the other the Hebrews or whatever, the Israelites. They believe that the Egyptians were white. Now, me personally, I believe they are white, but also what they're believing is Esau is the white man, right? I don't believe Esau initially was the white man because this, like I said before, he was born of Isaac and Rebekah, which was two melanated parents, right, with coarse hair. The people who some brethren and sister call in the faith, they call the Edomites white people with stringy hair. Esau wasn't born white with stringy hair, man. He wasn't born that way. That was the Canaanites was born white with stringy hair. Remember, the Most High cursed Canaan before he was even born. So when Canaan was born, he came out white with stringy hair. Okay? And he had to go to the north because he couldn't be in the region of Canaan because it was too hot, right? Just as some white folks do today. They don't live in climates where it's hot because it can give them skin cancer. They have to get suntan lotion and all of that, what have you, right? So that's the reason why the Canaanites moved to the north, which is the Caucasus Mountains. That's what's known as the Hittite kingdom and the Hivite kingdom. Okay, so right here it's letting you know, in the book of Exodus chapter 1, okay, concerning the Egyptians. All right, let's read that one more time. As you can see here, and the king of Egypt spake to the Hebrew midwives. Okay, now, like I was about to say, for brothers and sisters in the truth who love to say that Esau is the brother of Jacob, okay? So if Esau was the brother of Jacob, wouldn't that also make him Hebrew? Isn't Isaac and Rebekah from the Hebrew lineage, the seed lineage? So if Isaac and Rebekah, being Hebrew, had Esau and Jacob, wouldn't they be Hebrew too? So that leads to this question. If Esau and Jacob was Hebrew from Hebrew parents, why is it stated here in the book of Exodus chapter 1 verse 15 that the Egyptians spoke to the Hebrews? That's a clear distinction there of a nation of people. If the Egyptians were Esau, white people, okay, and like some people, so-called scholars, claim that the Egyptians were white. Just like I said, I believe they're white too, but I believe they was the Canaanites. I don't believe that they were Edomites. All right. So if the Egyptians were Esau, why is there a clear distinction between the Egyptians and the Hebrews? And Esau is Hebrew because he was born to two Hebrew parents. Why is that put like that? If Esau's Hebrew, because Esau is Hebrew, no matter if, some of you so-called Israelites in the truth want to accept it or not, Esau is Hebrew. All right. So why is it stated that way? If Esau is the white man, in which I say the white people are Canaanites, they're not Hebrews, they are of Ham's lineage. Okay. So if Esau is white, okay, which is the Canaanites, why is there a clear distinction of the Hebrews and the Egyptians, but Esau is born to Hebrew parents, and which makes him Hebrew? Why is that? So Esau can't be the white man because he's born to melanated Hebrew parents. Okay, so the Egyptians aren't Edomite white people, they're Canaanite white people, as is stated in the book of Genesis, the 15th chapter, that they are descendants of the Amorites, man. Okay, which ultimately is descendants of Canaan, the cursed people of Ham. All right, so why is that distinction there? Why is there a distinction between the Egyptians, who's supposedly white Edomites, and Hebrews, but Esau is born to two Hebrew parents? Why? You see all the confusion that's going around in the doctrine of Israel today? That's why you have to be in these scriptures, man. You have to ask the Most High. for discernment, man. Okay, and understanding these scriptures here. All right, so you can't be bamboozled and deceived in this thing here, man. Right now, you're going to be going around calling every white person an Edomite, and that's not true, man. It's not true. First, you have to understand the curses of the skin, according to the book of Leviticus, chapter 13, and the curse of Gehazi, and the curse of Cain, and the curse of Naaman, and the curse of Miriam. First, you have to understand these things before you determine who are the lineages of the white folks. You got to do that, man. And the only way to do that is to get in these scriptures yourself instead of listening to doctrine of men. Right? Just because they have a certain hatred of the white man, they're going to tell you, oh, Esau is white. Every white man you see is Esau. And that's not true, because Esau wasn't initially born white. He wasn't born white. Now, like I said, when he mixed with the Canaanites, according to the book of Genesis chapter 35, that's when that lineage of Esau became white. When he married wives of the Hivites and the Hittites. That's the lineage of Esau's white people. Okay? But initially, Esau was not born white, man. I feel like I have to keep nailing this in the coffin, because there's many people who still want to believe that the Canaanites are black because of what the Mormons and the Muslims say. And they're going to believe that Esau initially was born white with stringy hair, because that's doctrine that's going around in Israel, man. And that's not true, man. It's not true. In continuation, I don't want to lose where I'm at, right? Verse 16. And he said, when ye do the office of a midwife to the Hebrew women, and see them upon the stools, if it be a son, then ye shall kill him. But if it be a daughter, then she shall live. Salakia, right? So right here, it's letting you know also, metaphorically, that the seed follows the man, right? Even the so-called Egyptians knew that. The Amorites, they knew that the seed follows the man. So they said, if the baby be born a male, okay, you're going to kill it. But if it's a daughter, okay, who have the egg, all right, she shall live. Why? Because they're going to have Canaanite men marry those Hebrew women. Okay, because they was in the land of Mizraim, which is a hot climate, right? Canaanites can't survive there. White Canaanites can't survive there, right? So they had to get with melanated Hebrew women to continue their seed, because that's the only way that they're going to survive, just as they're doing today, right? That's why they're pushing interracial dating. But they're not pushing the Hebrew men with the white woman. They're pushing the Canaanite man with the Hebrew women, because they understand the seed follows the dad, right? See, you got to understand this, man. See, when you ask the Most High for this discernment, you will understand this right here, right? And it's being shoved in our faces all throughout social media, all over cable TV, all over regular network TV, all on the radio, all on billboard signs you see along the highway as you drive, right? Interracial dating, okay? But they're not pushing the narrative of an Israelite man with a white woman. They're pushing the narrative of a white Canaanite man with a melanated Israelite woman. Or if not an Israelite woman, any woman that's melanated, right? Okay, it could be an Eastern Indian, it could be an Ishmaelite, okay, it could be a Hamite, right? But their main focus and target is Israelite melanated women, man. Right? So they understand this, man, and this is the same custom that they're keeping today. This is how you know this is spiritual Egypt, man, because of the spirits that's reincarnated back into the earth. All right? They're letting you know right there in the book of Exodus chapter 1, if it's a male child, kill it. But if it's a daughter, keep her alive. Why? Because they want to marry and intermingle with that Israelite woman so they can have an Canaanite white seed surviving in the world with melanated skin. But this is what causes the confusion, because a lot of our people think the seed follows the mom, and that's not true, man. That's not true. That's why we have wicked people living amongst our people today, because we think this because one of the parents are black, doesn't matter which gender, it could be a woman or it could be a man, right? If long as one parent is black, that child is black, and that's not true, man. That's a different spirit. That's a different spirit in that child, man. If that child is born of a heathen nation, a heathen seed, or Edomite seed, or Moab seed, or Ammonite seed, okay, or Elamite seed, or Ishmaelite seed, that baby is exactly what it is, man. Right? It ain't an Israelite seed. It's not our people, man. They're not black. Right? So-called black. Right? Just like I said earlier. If you want to get an apple seed, you got to have Slakia. If you want to get an apple tree, you got to have seeds. If you want to get an orange, you got to have orange seed. If you want to get watermelon, you got to have watermelon seeds. If you want to get a pear, you got to have pear seeds. If you want to get tomatoes, you got to have tomato seeds. If you want cucumbers, so on and so forth. Right? That's you want to get that pure breed, man. Okay? Same thing with dogs. If you want a pit bull, you got to have 2 pit bulls. You can't have 1 German Shepherd and 1 pit bull. Right? You can't have a pit bull female and a German Shepherd male and then expect to produce a pure pit bull, man. Right? If you want a Yorkie, you can't have a Chihuahua male and a Yorkie female expecting to produce a Yorkie male, man. It's not happening. Right? The same thing goes with people, man. But what deceives us in the mind is that they have melanated skin. They have melanated skin. They're dark. Some of them are even darker than me, but they're Edomites. You know why? Because that Edomite seed kept marrying Israelite women, marrying black women, right? And then his seed, which could have been a son, married another Israelite woman. And then the seed that they had married another Israelite woman. But guess what? That seed is still a heathen, because the initial seed came from a heathen. Came from an Edomite, came from a Canaanite, came from an Ishmaelite, came from an Elamite, a Moabite. That seed isn't Israel, man. That's why the Most High said, into the 10th generation, these people will not see the kingdom of heaven, if they're born of heathen seed and Israelite women. You got to go 10 generations, man. 10 generations. Now, if you're a Mamzer, it says to the 3rd and 4th generation. Why? Because that seed is Israel, although they're Mamzer, but the seed is still Israel. So we have to sort of encourage them to marry Israelite women so they can bring that seed back into Israel, man. Right? But this is why we have all of the idolization going on in Israel, in our communities, man. We have all of the hate, all of the disdain, right? All of the confusion, deception going on in the neighborhood, man. Right? Because they have black skin doesn't mean that they are our people, man. Right? They could be chocolate-covered Canaanites, chocolate-covered Edomites that mix with Canaanites, chocolate-covered Moabites, right? But it's because you have brown and black skin. Oh, they're one of our people. They're one of us. They're our folks. But they wicked as hell in the mind, man. Why? Because they're heathens, right? So they're the ones that's pushing, oh, let's celebrate Christmas. Let's celebrate Easter Memorial Day, 4th of July, okay, Labor Day. And what the hell are you celebrating Labor Day anyway, man? Right? What kind of custom is that? Especially for my so-called Benjamites, man. Like, what's the whole purpose of Labor Day? What is the purpose of it? The only thing you do is just parade and shake your ass. Is that your culture? Like, is that what you call Caribbean culture? You dancing in the middle of the street, half-ass naked, some be naked, and you just shaking your ass. It's talking about this is Caribbean culture. This is the reason why we keep the custom of Labor Day. And all you're doing is just shaking your ass. You shaking your ass on cops, shaking your ass on old folks, shaking your ass on each other. Is that Caribbean culture? That's crazy, man. You know, even us, the professed Judites up in Harlem, when we have Harlem American Day Parade, we don't do that. We have bands out there. We have children beating drums and blowing trumpets and stuff like that. We have political figures coming by, right? We have celebrities coming through on floats. You don't see women out there shaking our ass on African American Day Parade up in Harlem. We don't do that, right? We keep it professional. You know what I'm saying? Right? This is how they do it up in an American Day Parade, man. Right? Or any other city that have that, you know. But there's a lot of cities that's, you know, in this country that have a Caribbean Day Parade. And the people of the Caribbean, that's all they do in these parades. They be half-ass naked, damn near 90% naked, and then they just out there shaking their ass. And then, oh, this is for the culture. This is for the culture, man. You know, the people, you know, the Jamaican people, you know, my people down in the Caribbean, man. Right? Shaking ass all day. Like, what kind of culture is that? Is that what you have symbolically for your culture? Which is a sin against the Most High, by the way. So I don't understand that, man. Right? One so-called Benjamite got upset with me when I asked him that. I said, so what's the whole purpose of this Labor Day? Oh, it's to, you know, pay homage to the Caribbean culture, man. You know, we get out here, we have the good food, we have the good music and but a majority of the women is out there shaking their ass half naked. Like, is that your culture? Like, come on, man. Right? This is speaking through the spirit here from the Most High, man. Like, y'all got to repent to that shit. Right? Because there's a lot of infidelity going on with that, man. A lot of whoredom going on with that. Okay? There's victuals happening on that day. Right? Selling victuals is a sin. You're not even supposed to be selling food to your people. But a lot of people don't want to hear that, though. You know what I'm saying? But, oh, we're keeping the laws to the best of our ability. But you still doing usury and victuals. People ain't ready for that, man. So you can't say that you're wholeheartedly keeping the laws to the best of your ability, but you're selling victuals. Right? Anyway. But the midwives feared the Most High power and did not as the king of Egypt commanded them, but saved the men children alive. Okay, see, those midwives, those Hebrew midwives understood that the seed follows the man, right? There wasn't no feminists down there. That was Hebrews talking about, oh, the seed follows the women, so it don't matter if the men get killed. You know, as long as we have the women, you know, we have the seed, so we don't have to worry about nothing. We just going to just do what the Pharaoh says, and we're going to kill off all of the men babies and, you know, keep the women, right? But these women wasn't indoctrinated with that feminist doctrine, that Jezebel spirit, so they saved the men children, right? And the king of Egypt called for the midwives and said unto them, why have ye done this thing? Have saved the men children alive. And the midwife said unto Pharaoh, because the Hebrew women are not as the what? As the Egyptian women. Okay, so right there's another clear distinction between Egyptian and Hebrew. So the Egyptians couldn't have been white Edomites. Okay, I'm talking about the last dynasty of the Egyptians, not the first dynasties, not the Cushite, Nubian, black people. We talking about the Egyptians that enslaved the Israelites for 400 years there. Okay, for they are lively and are delivered ere the midwives come in unto them. Verse 20, therefore the Most High dealt well with the midwives, and the people multiplied and waxed very mightily. See, the Most High, see, when you keep the Most High's ways, man, right, when you don't have a hatred in your heart for thy brethren, the Most High is going to deal with you, right, in a positive way. Verse 21, and it came to pass, because the midwives feared the Most High power, that he made them houses. Verse 22, and Pharaoh charged all his people, saying, every son that is born ye shall cast into the river, and every daughter ye shall save alive. Right? So the Pharaoh is still on that BS, trying to kill off the males of the Hebrew children, man. Right? Let's go to chapter 9, still in the book of Exodus.